story of local government in Nigeria is really the story of governance at the grassroots. Third tier of government closest to the people and arguably the most vital for driving rural and national development and improving daily lives of ordinary citizens. Created by the Constitution and constituted by democratically elected officials to provide basic services, address specific needs, and regulate community life within a defined geographical area, and build democracy from the ground up. Local government was meant to be the very foundation of development. However, the reality has been mixed. Reforms have brought some progress, but challenges remain. Weak autonomy, political interference, inadequate resources, and limited institutional capacity. These gaps have profoundly shaped the reality of local governance in Nigeria. In this documentary, we journey from the evolution of local governments before independence to their constitutional, statutory, and practical roles today. We uncover its powers, its struggles, and untapped potential, while asking the big questions. Why was it created? What has it achieved? What is missing and what can be done better? This is the story of grassroots governance in Nigeria, its promise, its problems, and its possibilities. Evolution of local government in Nigeria. The journey of the local government system in Nigeria began in the pre-colonial era when local governance was built around the native authority system. Different ethnic groups had their system of local administration, e.g. Oba, in council in western Nigeria, emirate system in the north, and village assemblies in the east. During colonial rule, the chiefs and traditional rulers acted as agents of the indirect rule, accountable to district officers, collecting taxes, settling disputes, and enforcing orders. Then there was the Eastern Region Local Council Ordinance of 1950, Western Region Local Council Law of 1952, and the Northern Region Law of 1954. Under military regime in 1966, local government system was abolished by Decree 34. After independence, reform of the local government system became inevitable. The most significant turning point came with the 1976 local government reform, which formally recognized the local government as the third tier of government in Nigeria. This reform introduced a uniform structure across the country consisting of 3 levels: the local government council, the district council, and the state council. The local government council was tasked with administering the affairs of local government areas, including the provision of basic amenities and the collection of taxes. The district council coordinated the affairs of several local councils, while the state council provided oversight at the state level. The 1976 reform laid the foundation for modern local government administration in Nigeria. It introduced the principle of participatory democracy by providing for the direct election of local government officials and the establishment of ward committees to encourage citizen involvement in governance. The reforms provided for a measure of autonomy in policy making and introduced federal grants to be disbursed through the states. From that point, local governments were envisioned as active agents of national development and grassroots democracy, with a clear mandate to bring governance closer to the people and drive sustainable community growth. However, the intended impact was never fully realized. Structural shortcomings, particularly in the separation of powers and the sharing of limited resources, hindered effectiveness. These challenges led to the establishment of the Dasuki Local Government Committee in 1984, which, after wide consultations, produced a white paper that effectively subordinated local governments to the states. Under this arrangement, state governments were required to allocate only 10% of their internally generated revenue to local governments. The introduction of state-appointed agents and sole administrators further entrenched state dominance, completing the subordination of local governments to state control. The 1989 and 1999 local government reforms sought to strengthen the system by abolishing state ministries of local government, ensuring that statutory allocations were paid directly to local governments, raising their share from 10% to 23% involving traditional rulers in local administration, establishing local government service commissions, and introducing the primary healthcare program. Local governments in Nigeria grew from about 299 in 1970 to 301 in 1979, then jumped to 781 in 1981, when states were allowed to create their own. Under military rule in 1984, the number was cut back to 301, but later rose to 449 in 1987, 589 in 1989-1991, and finally 774 in 1996, where it remains today. The 1999 Constitution, as amended, reinforces the place of local government by guaranteeing its existence under Section 7. It envisions councils that reflect the common interests, traditional ties, and administrative needs of their immediate communities while also contributing to local economic development. Structure, functions, and powers of local government. The creation of local government in Nigeria has been recognized and duly entrenched in Section 7, one of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended. It prescribes the structure, composition, finance, and functions of local government councils. The system of local government by democratically elected local government councils is under this Constitution guaranteed. The Constitution provides further that the government of every state shall, subject to Section 8 of this Constitution, ensure their existence under a law which provides for the establishment, structure, composition, finance, and functions of such councils. Structure of local government administration in Nigeria. Each of the 774 local government areas, LGAs, and 6 area councils in the Federal Capital Territory is governed by a council. These councils are meant to be the level of government closest to the people, addressing local issues and promoting citizen participation. Local governments are divided into wards. Local government is divided into legislature, local government council of the LGA. Councillors are elected from various wards within the LGA. Leader and deputy leader preside over the council sitting, and they also have committee systems, and council makes bylaws that are assented by the executive, and council retains the power to override the chairman's veto with a 2/3 majority vote. Executive, chairman, and vice chairman are the executive heads of the LG Council, supported by appointed supervisory councillors and secretary of the council. Functions of the local government. The 4th schedule to the 1999 Constitution clearly spells out the constitutional and statutory responsibilities of local government. 1. Revenue collection on properties, radio and television licenses, and other fees. 2. Establishing and maintaining markets, motor parks, slaughterhouses, public conveniences. 3. Constructing and maintaining roads, streets, drains, and other public facilities. 4. Waste collection and disposal, water, and proper sanitation. 5. Registration of births, deaths, and marriages. 6. Providing primary healthcare centers and services, maternity centers, dispensaries, first aid, etc., and public health awareness. 7. Licensing bicycles, canoes, and other non-motorized vehicles. 8. Maintaining law and order. 9. Control and regulation of outdoor advertisements and hoarding, movement and keeping of pets of all description, shops and kiosks, restaurants, bakeries, and other places for sale of food to the public. Laundries. 10. Licensing, regulation, and control of the sale of liquor. 11. Provision and maintenance of primary, adult, and vocational education. 12. Development of agriculture and natural resources other than the exploitation of minerals. 13. Establishment and maintenance of cemeteries, burial ground, and homes for the destitute or infirm. 14. Naming of roads and streets and numbering of houses. 15. Such other functions as may be conferred by the State House of Assembly. Powers of local government, chairman and councillors. Legislative powers. To make and enforce bylaws, delegated legislation on matters within their jurisdiction. Executive powers. To implement laws and policies passed by the council, oversee daily administration, and ensure local needs are addressed. Financial powers. To generate revenue, prepare budgets, allocate funds and manage expenditure on community projects. Development powers: to plan and drive sustainable development, including local infrastructure projects such as roads, schools, markets, and community facilities. Administrative powers: to recruit, employ, and manage staff, administer the local public service, supervise agencies under the council, and support law enforcement through local security and community policing. Judicial powers: to establish customary or area courts to enforce bylaws, resolve disputes, and settle minor community or land conflicts. From the foregoing, the rationale for establishing a local government can be distilled as follows: to bring governance closer to the people and ensure swift responses to local needs, to promote grassroots participation in decision-making and community development, to provide essential services tailored to local demands, to integrate traditional rulers into governance structures, to decentralize power and ease the administrative burden on higher levels of government. However, many decades after these ideas were articulated, one must ask, have local governments in Nigeria truly lived up to this mandate? Challenges that have plagued local governments in Nigeria. Political interference: state governments often dissolve elected councils and replace them with caretaker committees, weakening democracy at the grassroots, lack of financial autonomy, and mismanagement. Councils depend heavily on federal allocations. The joint state-local government account gives control to governors who withhold funds. Corruption and misuse of funds further cripple development. Disregard for judicial precedents. Despite Supreme Court rulings in the renowned case of Attorney General of the Federation versus Attorney General of Abia State and 35 others, legislative capacity. Councillors are often unqualified or sidelined, reduced to mere revenue collectors, and rarely make useful bylaws. Absence of functional bylaws. Without legal frameworks. Markets remain unregulated. Sanitation rules unenforced and revenue collection inconsistent. Loss of public trust with few visible projects and little accountability. Communities see councils as mere extensions of state power, not true governments. In the United Kingdom, local councils enjoy significant financial autonomy. They raise revenue through council tax, business rates, local fees and charges, alongside central government grants. They spend these resources with accountability. Their electoral structure is credible, free from higher interference. Elections are held regularly, and councils are not arbitrarily dissolved. Councillors exercise wide discretion to pass meaningful bylaws on housing, transportation, and public health. The United Kingdom has a robust framework that requires councils to balance service delivery with sound financial management. Where mismanagement is detected, central intervention is temporary and powers are quickly returned. In Nigeria, local governments lean almost entirely on federal allocations and face interference from state governors. The contrast is clear. Within Nigeria, Lagos offers encouraging signs. It has consistently strengthened local government administration by holding regular elections. On August 4, 2025, Lagos introduced a new local government administration law clarifying rules, improving financial management, and incorporating digital tools for transparency. Councils are encouraged to develop progressive bylaws in sanitation, market regulation, and traffic management. For example, Lagos Island LGA proposed bylaws regulating alcohol sales to commercial drivers and Okada riders, improving road safety. While Lagos has not solved every challenge, it demonstrates that regular elections, financial autonomy, and active lawmaking can transform councils into true partners in governance. The story of local government in Nigeria is characterized by both promise and struggle, from the colonial native authority system to the 1976 reforms and the 1999 constitution. The intention has always been to bring government closer to the people. But challenges such as financial mismanagement, political interference, Weak legislative capacity and loss of public trust continue to hold the system back. From the United Kingdom, we learned that strong financial autonomy, credible elections, and robust accountability can transform councils. From Lagos, we see that progress is possible. For Nigeria to unlock the potential of local government, councillors must legislate, chairmen must govern transparently, and state governments must allow communities to elect their leaders. Councillors must make practical bylaws, not just paperwork, focusing on real needs like sanitation, market regulation, health, and jobs. Trust must be rebuilt through accountability, systems that show communities how funds are collected and spent. The local government must collaborate with state and federal government, but remember that the mandate comes from the people. Grassroots governance is not the least important here. It is the foundation. The strength of Nigeria's future lies at the roots.